This is the big boy. He's probably around 15 hands.
Good evening. Welcome to the Tin Barn Farms.
What are you guys going to do tonight?
We're going to perform Fancy Like.
Cool.
Yeah, we fancy like Applebee's on a date night. Got that burger steak with the Oreo shake and some whipped cream on the top too. 2 straws, 1 shack, girl, I got you. Bougie like Natty in the styrofoam. T Yeast squeaking in the truck bed all the way home. We some Alabama jammer, she's my Dixieland delight. Woo! That's how we do, fancy like, ooh.
Ooh, that's pretty good. That's pretty fancy like, isn't it?
Yeah.
Is that one of your favorites?
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about you? You kind of enjoy dancing to that, huh?
Yeah.
Cool. So tonight, we're in the barn. It is dark outside, but Johnny wanted to show you a horse. So who is it?
This is Polka Dot over here. He's a pretty looking horse and unique coloring, and
He's got some really cool polka dots, don't he?
Yeah.
That's hence his name. He's got a silver mane right between his ears. It's silver. And so he's an Appy gelding. He's about 7 years old. He's got really sound feet, good feet. He's built kind of like a, I think he may be crossed with a little bit of workhorse or Clydesdale or something. Why don't you open that up real quick there, son? And so this is the big boy. He's probably around 15 hands and a little shy, but he is a beautiful horse. So we got our chickens up here. They roost inside the barn, keep the coyotes from eating them. But anyhow, so what do you think of him, Johnny?
I think he's a unique horse. He's got unique coloring, and he's just a cool addition on the farm.
Yes, he is. He's very cool on the farm. And that's the Appy roan mare behind him there. And this is Cat over here. This is Cat. She's doing well. Then we got some piglets over here. Got our little kitty cat. This is our pig back here. She's got the heat lamp going on, and she's back there with the babies. Her babies are back behind her. And
Hey, I want to show you all something. We got a late Christmas.
well, close the pin up first.
Alright. I got a bridle and reins with it, and then two of these cinches.
Yeah, let's see the cinches there. Ruthie, why don't you help him? So they got some packages in the mail for Christmas, and this is what Johnny got. And Ruthie's are at home still.
Yeah.
They're not here at the barn, but so a couple of cinches will go well. How about that? What is that?
That's a hackamore with a set of reins.
Man, that's right down your alley for working some of these horses, huh?
Mhm.
That's awesome. So, what do you say, big guy?
I really like these, and I think we'll be able to use them, and they'll be really nice. Thank you very much. So these are our new shaps that we got, and they're really nice patterns. These are the present from me.
All right. And Johnny?
I got these a while back, and they're, yeah, I just got these a while back and for a present, and they were a little bit too long on me before, but they fit me now.
Yeah, they fit you better, huh?
Yeah.
And George?
I got this as a present yesterday.
Your belt buckle, huh?
Uh-huh.
That's a pretty cool belt buckle. NFR.
Mhm.
Let me see it. Hold still. Yep. And he's wearing some of his brother's chaps and his hat. Johnny got that hat for Christmas. There you go. All right, come here. Now, come look at show me the video, the belt buckle. Turn it over the other way. Let's see. Oh, there you go. All right, well, these are a late Christmas present these guys got in the mail yesterday. So, what do you guys say?
Thank you. You sing Navajo. Got the head shut down, about as far as I can go. Pony don't come soon, I think I may get thrown. How can you sing Navajo? If you like this video, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and watch for more, and 10 more farms. Over and out.
Okay, Nelly, what are we going to do today?
Make some bread.
We're going to make some bread. I have a bread recipe that I always like to make. It's a whole wheat bread recipe. I don't add any white flour or anything like that. And so it's just whole white wheat that I like to use. I can use red wheat in it, but we like the consistency and the texture of the bread that we make with the white wheat. The first thing I'm going to do is add water. So this recipe actually calls for 6 cups of water. You want your water to be pretty warm, but you don't want it to be too hot that it's going to kill your yeast. But I like it to be pretty warm. It just seems to work best for my recipes. So you're going to want it to be no hotter than 115 degrees. This water is actually right at 115 degrees. And I don't always use a thermometer. But some people even say you don't want it hotter than 110 degrees. But you can even just put your finger in it. And if it's too hot to touch, you know it's too hot. And then half a cup of oil. So you can use olive oil, canola oil, whatever kind of oil you like to use. I'm actually using canola oil today. And then I usually use honey, but I am out of honey right now. We're going to use sugar today. Yep, that's your counter washer. So half a cup of sugar. Oh, Nelly wants to pour this in. I keep taking her job from her. Okay. Half a cup of sugar. And then what I do is I go ahead and I add some of my flour. Here you go, Nelly. You want to pour some flour in for us?
Sure.
I usually do about 3 or 4 cups. And then I just blend it a little, get the flour incorporated into the water. And then I add some yeast. So my original bread recipe called for 3 tablespoons of yeast. So I use my bread mostly for sandwiches for my kids' lunch. And I found that with 3 tablespoons of yeast, it rose too much. And so it wasn't dense enough to really handle a sandwich going to school in their lunches. So I have cut back and I actually only use 1 tablespoon of yeast now. So, I mean, depending on how you want your bread to turn out, you can use a little bit more or a little bit less. But anywhere from 1 to 3 tablespoons. And then I just mix this up. And I usually let it sit for a few minutes just to make sure that the yeast is good and that it's active. And to be able to tell if the yeast is good and active, it'll just kind of start looking alive in the bowl. So I'll show you that in just a second. So this is called activating the yeast. I don't know if you can see that on the video, but it'll just kind of start bubbling a little bit. you know your yeast is good and you're good to go. All right, so I'm going to add some gluten. I add a 1/4 cup to this recipe. And I just sprinkle it around. At this point, we're going to start adding the flour into our mixer. And we add the flour 1 cup at a time and let each cup get incorporated into the liquid mixture until it starts to form a dough. This can be anywhere from 10 to 12 cups of flour when you're completely through adding all of your flour. And I'll show you in this video how I tell how much flour it needs to be. Now I'm adding 1 tablespoon of salt. I like to add that after a lot of the flour is added because sometimes salt can make it where your yeast doesn't work as well. Here's a view from the top of the mixer. I am continuing to add 1 cup of flour at a time and letting it incorporate into this dough. The dough is starting to form a little bit better, but it still doesn't have enough flour. So as I keep adding a cup, you're going to see that the mixture is going to start pulling away from the sides of the mixer. So what we're looking for is for pretty much the inside of that bowl, the sides of that mixer to be clean. So with each additional bit of flour, you'll start to see that pull away from the sides of that mixer. At this point, I'm just adding the flour about a 1/4 cup at a time instead of a full cup and just watching it. So you can see right now the bottom of the mixer really is pretty clean. A lot of the times the top up around there won't completely come clean, but I just go ahead and keep letting it incorporate and make sure that the bottom and the sides are really, really clean. At this point, we've added enough flour. The sides and the bottom of the bowl are really, really clean. And so what I do now is I go ahead and I let this dough knead for 7 minutes. And what this does is it builds the natural gluten that's in the bread. And this just makes your loaf where it kind of stays together more. Sometimes when you have homemade bread, it'll kind of fall apart. But this bread is a really dense bread that holds together really good. And like I said, I use it mostly for sandwiches for my kids. And so this is just how we like to have our bread. So after the bread has kneaded for 7 minutes, it's time to form the dough into loaves. And you can see I have a little thing of water right here. And what I do is I dip my hand into it. And it just kind of makes it where it doesn't stick to my hands as much, and it makes it a little easier to shape the loaves. So this bread recipe usually makes about 4 loaves, and what I do is I go ahead and form each loaf and I put it into a pan. Sometimes I will go ahead and weigh each loaf just to be sure that they're a consistent size, but I'm not doing that today. And then you go ahead and just set it aside and allow it to rise. I usually have my oven preheating at this point, and I just set the loaf pans on top of the oven so it'll get a little bit of heat from the oven. And it usually takes about 30 minutes for this recipe to rise. But of course, that's going to depend on the temperature of your home and things like that. But usually they will rise to about the top of the bread pan. Once your bread has risen to the top of the bread pan, you can now put it in the oven for 35 minutes at 350 degrees, and you will end up with this beautiful loaf of bread that is great for sandwiches, toast, or anything else you'd like. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Have a great day.
If you like this video, hit the like button down below. Leave us a comment, hit the notification bell so you can see more videos like this. Thanks for watching Tin Barn Farm. Over and out.